I suppose the neighbors might think, what the heck is she doing? But I don't really care. The initial dig, I have to make it a bit wider because right now you just squeeze the tent in there. So I'm going to have to dig that out today. But of course, we're getting a lot more snow again today. So I keep digging it out and clearing out the space. And I want to do this because I want to set the tent up and have my grandkids enjoy it with me. So I asked Stanley if he thinks, could you snowblow it out? So he gave it a try. It's a bit of a hard go because the blades want to dig into the ground. I said we could joke and tell the neighbors we're trying to cut the grass. I'm such a lucky girl. My husband of 82 is snow blowing my path for me so that I can have a snow fort. I am so lucky. Stanley turned 82 February 17th. Yay, 82. There is an art, a pattern to this, and we do eventually get the space cleared out, at least of most of it, and then we had to get the shovels and do the fine tuning around the edges. This is the most snow that either of us have ever recalled having since we've been living 20 years at this particular home. It's incredible. So eventually we do get the space cleared out and I get a tent set up in there. And I actually sit down and have my hot chocolate and my hot cross bun. The space is a perfect fit for the beach tent. The beach tent is 6 feet by 4. It's handy for a first try. So here is my handy mess kit. There is a pan, a pot, and a kettle all inside this one space. And of course the lid. I use the kettle a lot. Now I'm trying to do this with one hand, but try to get it out so that I can heat up my hot chocolate. In setting up the tent, I put the ground sheet down and then the tent, and then inside I put some cardboard boxes that were splayed open just to try to open up the corners of the tent and keep it a little bit level. Plus the cardboard is an insulator. And it was really, really cold. It's amazing how cold my hands got in a very short time. But once I put on the butane stove, it did heat up. And it was a small space, of course, to heat up. So it worked out well. But the duration, the length of time I stayed there, it wasn't that long. I was probably there maybe an hour and a half altogether. I had wanted to stay and just sort of sit and maybe meditate and relax and, think about things, but it didn't happen because it was just too cold. And that cold starts to get into your bones, especially as a senior. So I did have my hot chocolate, and I did have my hot cross bun, and I did have some time just sort of reflecting on things, and I'll share some of those thoughts. But once I was done, I went inside and I had to get an electric blanket and warm up my legs because I was just, as they say, bloody freezing. I don't know how people live in their tents full time and do this. So here I am in the tent. It's the beach tent. Wasn't sure my space would fit the big tent. I might try that maybe tomorrow, but because there was a lot of work getting this all straightened out today. But here I am inside having my hot chocolate, and I have a nice hot cross bun ready to go. That season.
where we see a lot of different hot cross buns available. Now, I decided that I would tell the neighbors that I'm making a fort, a snow fort for my grandkids. But you know what? Really, it's for me, and that would be my excuse to explain my eccentricism. Eccentric? My mum used to say, the more eccentric you are as you age, the longer you live. To me, that sounds like you're a senior, you can do what you want. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. So most of my neighbors are going to be fine with this, but we actually live in a house, a full house, and there's a walkout apartment downstairs, and seniors who are going to be 86, they live down there. Now, Horst, he would be fine with this, but his wife, nah, she would just think this is a crazy thing. Why are you doing that? You're wrecking the lawn. When Stanley was using the snowblower, I said, we're pulling up a wee bit of the grass, so we could just say it was time to cut the grass. And she would really think we're nuts. Oh well, do I care? Not really. No, I'm having fun with it. So now I got all this stuff out here. I got my tent. I got a ground sheet down. I've got cardboard on the floor. You see the cardboard on the floor? Cardboard. And it's actually quite cozy. I thought it would be colder than it is. The wind's starting to pick up, so the tent edges are flapping a wee bit. There is a window here, but you definitely couldn't sleep here. That would be too much. So I got all my stuff out here. Got my milk, my hot cross bun and everything, and I forgot a mug to drink my hot chocolate with. So I'm gonna have to drink it out of the pan, I guess, or I could put it in the kettle. Would that work? This is such a neat, compact unit. Let me see if I could drink out of the spout. I might try that, so you won't be seeing that. Anyways, I think I'm gonna just enjoy this for a bit, just relax, enjoy the peace and the calm. Not that I don't have peace and calm at home, I do. I have it all the time, basically. Except for when we're talking about Trump and worried about Trump issues. You know, it's almost hard not to make a comment because it so affects our life. Today, Monday, February 10, is the day that he apparently is levying steel and aluminum tariffs, 25%. So he said he wasn't going to levy any tariffs till the end of the month, that we all had this pause. Canada had this pause. And now we don't. Now we've got this. I could hope that it would end soon, but I don't think it's going to. In the meantime, I was also thinking that not only did, we have this big amount of snow in our front yard, which is where I am, but Trudeau, our prime minister, was saying, don't travel to America. Not, we can if you want to, right? But a lot of Canadians are deciding to boycott travel to America, boycott buying American goods. Our patriotism is really rising, and it's amazing. So here's what I thought. Oh, what's going to happen to camping? Because Trudeau said, all the provincial parks, enjoy your provincial parks. You know what? They book up really fast anyway, under normal circumstances. So I'm thinking, where am I going to be able to camp this year? I'm going to have to find spots. I'll be working on it. I could camp in my front yard. And this is actually an idea. Putting the tent up in your own yard, no matter what the season is, it's an idea that I got from a viewer because she said her husband doesn't like camping. So sometimes she's been known to put the tent up in the backyard and go sleep out there. So my neighbors are too close for all that. And it's funny because we have the emergency medical guy living next door. He's the head of all the emergency he's got a staff of about 80 people in our town. So if anything goes wrong, he's close by. Anyways, I'm going to end this now and enjoy my hot chocolate and my hot cross bun. Cheers.
So this is how I settled the dilemma of what to do with my hot chocolate. I just dipped my hot cross bun into it. And eventually the pan did cool up enough, or cool off enough, so that I could just lift it and drink out of that. When you're planning and then actually going on your camping trip, you don't always remember all the things to bring. And so sometimes you really have to improvise.
Yep, it's getting a bit cold in here, so I just turned on the little stove, and it's amazing how quickly this heats up in here. And I won't leave it on long because I realize it's sort of a danger if I knock the little table, which I'm not going to do. It could, this whole thing could go up probably quite quickly. And we don't want that to happen, do we? Then you won't have a video. But it's nice. So it's made me think about people who are living in the tents. We have various tent cities in Toronto, not in Orangeville, but I have seen a fellow. People have commented around town that there's a fellow who's been sitting his tent up in different places. We assume it's a guy. We haven't actually seen a person, but we've seen the tent in various spots. We do have warming centers where people can come in out of the cold, and they are operating right now because it's been well below freezing. And in fact, my daughter just got a job working in a warming center. So it's quite interesting to hear who comes in, how they process them, the paperwork that's involved, getting the person's details, monitoring them because some of them are on drugs, unfortunately. And then trying to hook them up with social services. So it's amazing to hear the stories. And this one fellow, my daughter was telling me, he doesn't like the government. He's not referring to any current economics, just generally he doesn't like the government. I'm trying to heat up here. And he chose to live on the street. So I thought, you don't like the government, but it is our government that is supplying the warming center and everything else for you. I mean, this is a paid position for my daughter. So he's relying on the good graces of everybody to provide him with a scarf and a hat and a bed to sleep in and food. And, we have kitchens open that they can go to get food. So he's relying on the government. He doesn't like it, but he's relying on it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But some people are actually trying to live in their tent full time, and during the winter, it's brutal. I would think you're always dealing with extremes, extreme heat, extreme cold. So anyway, that's my comments for today.
I don't know if you can see it, but here we are on a Saturday morning, and it's snowing again. There's a big storm coming along. I actually have to go out and work on my part-time job today, but I'll head out and just brave and cover off the snow and do all the stuff. At least these plants can enjoy the inside warmth of the house. And they're waiting for spring because they're going outdoors when the time comes, as soon as it's safe. Coming up, using the pop-up tent for family day fun. My grandkids come and join me.